Hello and welcome to the Port of Oakland Update. Joining me today is the President of the Oakland Board of Port Commissioners, Mr. Ces Butner. Hello, President Butner.
Hello, Marilyn. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Well, we've got a lot to talk about today. First, let me just ask you, what are the board's priorities right now in terms of the pandemic?
The first thing we wanted to really address was the health and safety of all the employees and making sure that we were set up to continue our operations because we're an essential business, but we wanted to make sure that all of our employees were healthy and safe. We had to figure out our financial situation. It's going to be a little bit difficult because, as you know, we're having a rough time at the airport in particular and some of our other businesses. And so that we have to work out our financial sustainability. Finally, we want to make sure we live up to our commitments to the community, to our values, and everything else that we do, despite the fact we got the coronavirus.
So is the board concerned about the impacts from the coronavirus?
Yeah, I would say we're a little concerned because we got a significant revenue decrease at the airport in particular, but we're up a little bit now. They're starting to come back a little bit by a little bit. But that's the thing we're worried most about because that has affected the revenue port-wide more than anything else. We're going to be okay with regard to our seaport, but our CRE business is a little bit affected as well.
You've been on the board 8 years, in fact, and you're winding up your term as president. What stands out in your tenure?
Probably the biggest thing was the hiring of the personnel that we have here. When I came on the board in 2012, we were in a precarious situation. I had to hire a new executive director, a new port attorney, and a new director of maritime. We fortunately made some good decisions there, and it got us put it in the right direction, and we turned out to be really, really quite well over the last few years. Now this coronavirus has hit us. Unfortunately, it's right at the same time. We just named a new executive director and a new port attorney and a new director of maritime as well. So the way my tenure started and the way it's ending is about the same. We had good times in between.
Well, you've seen a lot. And now, after this 8-year tenure and being in the middle of the pandemic, can the port recover from this crisis?
Oh, of course. There's no question about it. We've got to be judicious in how we approach it. And I think with our executive director, Juan, I've been talking with him daily, almost daily throughout this whole pandemic. We're lined up to make sure we take advantage. As I said before, it's not affecting our maritime business as much as it is, of course, our airport aviation business. But we'll be back. You can count on it.
Thank you. You're a prominent Oakland leader and a leading voice in the Black community. What's your feeling about the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis and the protests that followed?
You got a little personal now, because as a Black man here in Oakland, in America, I've experienced almost everything that's being talked about right now. It's not news to me. It's been around for a long time. And I'm just proud of the fact that we at the port have a statement. We do not tolerate any racism, discrimination, or social injustice. There's no question that we stand behind the Black Lives Matter movement. And we want to make sure that we make this country true to its heritage of what it's supposed to be.
As a public agency, what is the Port of Oakland's role in the current racial justice debate?
It is our responsibility as the commissioners. I being the president, I lead all the commissioners, the 7 commissioners that we have on. I know we will demand out of our port employees and our operation to seek social justice. What actions are we taking to make sure that everything is equal justice under the law? There's no way that we as a commission will not demand that of the port staff.
Overshadowed in the coronavirus pandemic is the Howard Terminal proposal, which of course is about the A's team building a stadium near and adjacent to Jack London Square. Now, is the proposal still on the table?
Well, yes. And matter of fact, I spoke with Dave Cavill the other day. Of course, we have our concerns. We want this to happen, but this question is how is it going to happen? That's why we entered into the exclusive negotiating agreement with the Oakland Athletics, and it's been 2 years now. The last 2 years that I've been president, and they're still seeking to get all the public agency approvals and everything else that they have to line up. I think they're still 100% behind it.
President Butner, moving on to the operations of the port during this difficult time, what are your thoughts in terms of aviation?
It's probably our number one concern coming out of this coronavirus. But I got faith that business will be back. And our major partner here, who does about 70% of our business, Southwest Airlines, has faith in Oakland too, because this is going to be the hub for Southwest Airlines for anywhere in the future for the West Coast.
President Butner, what's the board's outlook now in terms of business at the Oakland Seaport with the pandemic that's going on, of course, but really looking to the future?
The Seaport is going to be all right. I think the business is down slightly, 5-10%, but I don't think that will remain. Right now, probably the project that I'm most proud of since I've been here is the Coolport project. That Coolport project right now is off the hook with business that they have going despite the pandemic. So we got real good action going out from our exports, more so than our imports. We're one of the only ports that has about equal amount of imports versus exports, about 50-50. And I've looked long range for our seaport business to be just fine.
What are the various responsibilities or roles that you think belong to the Port of Oakland in helping this area maintain its economic vitality?
The Port of Oakland will always be the center of the economy here in the East Bay. We generate so many jobs and so many opportunities for everybody in both our aviation, our maritime, and our commercial real estate. So I would look for 5 years down the road, our business will be thriving, the airport will be flying, and the seaport will be generating more and more exports.
You've been a board member for so long, 8 years. That's a huge commitment. Why did you decide to be a board member for this extended period of time?
I would say, if you know anything about me, I've always given everything I can to the city of Oakland. When I was asked to do this job, we were in a difficult time at the port, but as my pen says, I do whatever I can for Oakland. And I got on the board, and we made the changes, and we made the improvements, and we steadily improved the port's position, and it will continue on from here. And I'm proud of the time that I've spent with the port, and I would like for everybody to remember it as Ces, while he was on the port, he led it back to its greatness.
President Butner, any last thoughts you'd like to share with us?
As I always say, I like to get up in the morning and say, it's a great day in Oakland. And it was very nice being with you, Marilyn, today, because Oakland will always succeed.
Thank you. Be well, be safe.
You too.